Simplifying rational expressions. By the way, what's meant by rational expressions? Anybody? What's the difference between a rational number and an irrational number? Wow, there's a flurry of activity. Looks for their notes. A rational number, by the strictest definition, Kylie Haug is?
A number that is not 13 decimal isolated.
A square root of a number that doesn't work out. But technically, a rational number is any number that can be expressed as a fraction. Any number that can be made a fraction is a rational number. For example, is 5 a rational number? Yes, because you can make 5 a fraction by putting it as 5 over 1. Is 0.6 a rational number? Yes, because the decimal 0.6 is the fraction 6 over 10. Any number that can be made a fraction is a rational number. Is 0.3 repeater a rational number? Yes, because 0.3 repeater is the same as the fraction 1/3. Okay, any repeating decimal came from a fraction somewhere. Okay, the things that aren't rational numbers, the irrational numbers, are numbers that are decimal numbers that don't repeat, because if they don't repeat, you can't put them over anything. Okay, and square roots that don't work out evenly, because if you stick those on the calculator, they're going to go on forever. Yes, Mary?
Should everything solid straight big set?
Perfect. Here is what I want you to write down for example number 1. Example number 1, as far as the bake sale goes, x plus 8
Gee, the extras.
over 4x.
Give me my cupcakes.
That is a rational number, it's a fraction. The question is, can it be simplified? Can it be simplified? Now what you want to look at with this, get rid of that. What you want to look at, or what you need to do is step number 1, you want to find the greatest common factor of both top and bottom. Top and bottom. This is really what you need to do. Okay, so if you look at x plus 8, what does x plus 8 factor down into? What can you take out of an x and an 8 both? Kylie? Out of the top. What can you take out of these two? What can you do to make it something times something? What times what gives you x plus 8? Stephanie? Nothing. You cannot factor. This is not factorable. You can't do anything more with it. Okay? What's the greatest common factor of 4x? Well, it's just 4 times x. And remember, you can only cross things on the bottom off with things on top if they are factors. I cannot just take this x and cross it off with that x, because this x is not a factor of 8, it's an addend. Okay? So as rumor would have it, truth be told, this cannot be factored at all. That is its simplest form you're ever going to get. Now, how about this one? X plus 5 times x minus 3 over 3x plus 21. Thinking along those same lines. Melissa Smiley. The top. Can you factor anything out of any of these? You cannot. These are already factors of each other. But here's what you have to think. In order to get either of these two top things to cross off with something on the bottom, it would have to be either an x plus 5 on the bottom or an x minus 3 in the bottom in parentheses or all by itself. That's the only way it's going to cross off with something. I can't just get an x on the bottom and cross it off with one of those x. It has to be either this or that for it to cross off. Now, what can I take out of the bottom? You can factor the bottom. Kelly?
3.
a 3. And what am I left with when I take a 3 out? Hopefully we've got this. By the way, 7th grade struggles with this still to this day, and so did you as 7th graders. I'm hoping you picked this out. Reverse distributive property here, or factoring here, what am I left with in the parentheses when I take a 3 out of both of those terms, Kylie?
X plus 7.
X plus 7. That is true. Now these two things are both factors. Okay, do any of the top cross off with any of the bottom? Once again, negative. The only way this 3 would cross off was if there's a 3 by itself as a factor on top. Then you could cross them off, but there's not. The only way these cross off is if this would have been an x plus 5, then this whole thing could have crossed off with that whole thing, but it's not. So far I've showed you 2 problems that you can't do anything with. And for that I'm sure you're very thankful. How about this one? Let's get to something we can actually simplify. 2x squared minus 10x. 2x squared minus 10x all over, where's it at? 4x squared plus 6x. 4x squared plus 6x. Now I think we've got some stuff that we can find. And the first thing you want to do with this is you want to, like we said in step number 1, find the greatest common factor of both the top and the bottom and see what happens. What can I take out of 2x squared minus 10x? What's the greatest common factor? A 2 for the numbers, and what about for the letters? An x. They both have an x. And what am I left with when I factor that out? You take a 2x out of x squared, you're left with a x minus 5. If you don't get that, you'll never get the rest of this stuff, because you got to start off with that. What can you take out of the bottom?
2.
4 and 6, you can take a 2 out of, an x squared, and x you can take an x out of. And then what's left?
2x plus 3.
Very good, 2x plus 3. Correct. Now, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen. Now if you find common factors, if you see things that are alike, for example, 2 times x, 2 times x, you see identical factors, now you can cross them off. The 2 crosses off, and the x will cross off. And there's nothing more that you can do. That's step number 2. Cross off like factors. And then your answer is just what's going to be left, which is x minus 5 over 2x plus 3. How does that seem? Not bad? Is there a question? Try this one. How about this? 2x squared minus 14x. 2x squared minus 14x over 4x minus 28. I'm going to let you factor both the top and the bottom, tell me what you're left with. Give you a second to do that. What can you take out of those? What can you take out, and what are you left with? Katie, what can I factor out at the top? What's the greatest common factor at the top, Katie?
2x.
2x. And that, taking that out, factoring that out, leaves you with a
X minus 7.
x minus 7. On the bottom, you can take out a, oh, yes, I suppose. Bigger than that, though. The greatest common factor is actually a 4. And you're left with minus 7. Now, what crosses off? Since this x minus 7 and that x minus 7 are in parentheses, and they're alike, they are both factors, you can cross off the whole group of them. And then, in addition to that, 2 times x, the 2 and the 4 can cross off because 4 is actually 2 times 2. So 1, 2 here crosses off with that 2 right there, and your answer is left with just the x over the 4. Do you see that?
Why would it be x over 4 or
I'm
x
sorry, x over 2. X over 2. Which, by the way, is the same as what? Just out of curiosity. 1/2 x. If you were asked for the numerical coefficient here, the number that comes in front of the x, your answer would be 1/2, because this is nothing more than 1/2 x is the same as x over 2. Because the x always goes to the top. I can tell you're very excited about this. How about this one? You know, 3x squared minus 3x over 9x squared plus 15x. Go ahead, make my day. See if you can come all the way down and get the answer for that one. This is a good one. Come in! Oh, I was hoping it'd be a cupcake day today.
I was gonna.
Is it your birthday?
Yeah.
Mary was gonna make cupcakes today. Happy birthday.
Yeah, but they were in the
That's
chocolate.
for 11.
Yeah.
Mm.
On happy birthday. Make sure to
Happy
bring
birthday,
your
Derek.
cupcake tomorrow. I'll make you a cupcake.
What's that?
What kind is it?
It looks like one of those. It looks like it's a strawberry thing.
Strawberry. It looks vanilla.
We got an answer? Factor what you can out of the top, out of the bottom. See what you're left with. Alexandria, you got an answer for me? Mm-hmm. Raise your hand if you're relatively confident that you have the right answer. We have 4 confident people. That would mean there's 9 people who are not quite so confident. And Kylie has a very wide notebook there. That's your math book?
This? Yeah. They were all out of the little ones inside.
I like the big ones anyway.
Yeah, I like
because
the
the
big
little ones, all the papers.
But yours is nowhere near that big. Hers, that's a 2-inch. Look at that thing.
Mine's
Mine's a 1
Oh,
mine's
yeah.
only a 1, and I have one that's the rest.
Oh, pardon
Mine's
me.
pretty
Okay, Alyssa Smiley, when you factor the top, what do you get? What's on the outside? Greatest common factor is 3x, which leaves you with what inside? What's that? Correct, x minus 1. Very good, nicely done. On the bottom, you can factor out what, Dimitri? What's that? 3x, which leaves you with what inside? What's that? Well, no, there's no 5x, it's just 3x plus 5. 3x times 3x gives you 9x squared. 3x times 5 gives you 15x. You can put another x there, then you get 15x squared. Now, what crosses off? Emily Kate Mortar? Both of the 3x's. This crosses off with that. These 2 you can't do anything with, so you just rewrite it as x minus 1 times 3x plus 5. That would be pretty much the end of the story there. One more, just for fun and or excitement. 4x plus 28. 4x plus 28 over 3x squared plus 21x. 3x squared plus 21x. Too easy? Too hard? Too bad? When would you take out at the top?
You're saying when or
I said
when?
Gwen.
Oh. 4x.
You can't take an X out. This one doesn't have an X. So just a 4, you're left with X plus 7. On the bottom, you can take out Mary Schubert. You can take out both those. What common factors do they have? Did you say 3? Did you say 4?
Wait, oh, never mind. 3.
3, and they both have x's, so 3x is your common denominator. What goes on the inside? Take a 3x out of 3x squared, you're left with a x plus 7. So what then crosses out, Lizzie?
The x plus 7.
X plus 7 and x plus 7 to leave you with a 4 over 3x. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is its simplest form. Figure this out here.